Okay, let's talk about reliability. So when you are measuring a variable, if your measurement tool is not reliable, then it's not a good tool. So basically that means if you can't get the same answer every time you give that measurement to a person, and they don't get similar results, then what are you even measuring? Like, it's just not a good tool if it's not consistent. So there are three ways that we sort of measure and assess reliability when we are, creating surveys or measurement tools or reading research. So the first type of reliability is called retest reliability. So this is essentially if you give the same measurement twice, you should get the same answer or a similar answer at least, because sometimes people change, things vary, people are feeling weird. But if it's not like close, it's not a reliable tool, and then you like get rid of it. So, for example, if I have this question on my survey and it's like, you know, how many like pets do you have and do you like animals? Agree 1 to 7. Like, that's confusing, and you're gonna get different answers all the time because they're kind of measuring two different things. And that's again why we avoid double-barreled questions. So, if you are, say, having people respond to a scale where they rate how they are feeling, if you like 1 to 10, or you have them do this systematic measurement tool that asks a bunch of questions about how they're feeling, if they measure it one day and they get like a score of like 59, on another day, if you're trying to measure like baseline mood that people have, it should be similar to 59. Maybe it's a little less, like a 53, or a little more, like a 57. Or 62. It depends on what those numbers mean, though. So you have to take into account like how the measurement tool like measures. So if like, if you have like a 1 to 5 scale and, they get a 3 one day and then like a 5 the other day, that's a lot different than, like the difference of 2 is a lot different for a question with fewer, or for a measurement tool with fewer questions than it is for a measurement tool with a lot of questions. So it just kind of depends, but it should be similar. That's the main idea, is that your measurement tool should come up with similar results for the same person time after time. Second is Interrater reliability. Now, Interrater reliability is often used on behavioral measures because when you're observing someone's behavior, well, a person is a very subjective being, right? Like, if I'm rating how much people love cats, I'm biased because I love cats more than the average person. So if I'm, coding people's interactions with cats, I might be coding them as like less cat loving than, say, my partner who is more into dogs. He might, give very different responses. So basically what you want to do is, if you are running a study that requires multiple raters, and so if you're doing an observational behavioral measure, then you're probably going to need Interrater reliability. Then you need to train your raters really well and run like a correlation to see how strongly the raters' responses are correlated. And so this goes if you've got 1 rater, 2 raters, 3 raters, whatever it is. So when I was in graduate school and we were measuring sarcastic behavior, I had my 3 research assistants all code for sarcastic behavior. When they thought someone was being sarcastic, they marked it, the timestamp down as this is when the sarcasm starts in this video that they were watching. So for every single one of my 80 participants, I got 2 research assistants ratings of this behavioral measure of sarcastic behavior, and then we had to check to see how well they were related. we found that it's not actually that good of a way to measure sarcasm, but that's not necessarily because the measure was bad. It was more because people just don't know what sarcasm is. You can read more if you're interested in that. But basically, you know, that would indicate, like, if your raters are not highly correlated in their responses, either you as the researcher are doing something wrong, or the theory that you're like testing needs to be modified. So that's Interrater reliability. Finally, we have internal reliability. So this happens when you're doing like a self-report measure and you have a bunch of different questions to measure the same thing. So if you are using the Beck Depression Inventory, it's going to measure things like mood, attention, how well how much you are sort of enjoying the things you normally enjoy. All of these get at depression, because depression is like this multifaceted thing that people experience where there's a lot of different symptoms, and having a few of those symptoms means that you're gonna be more likely to be depressed. So those symptoms are highly correlated to each other, right? Like if you are feeling sad and you are feeling maybe empty, and you're like, these are all different questions, but they're gonna be related. Like if you're experiencing one and you're like actually feeling depressed, like you're gonna probably experience the other. So you can use correlations to measure like how well these different like subvariables are related for this greater construct of depression. So if you're reading articles, the way you can tell that people are that the researchers are testing for internal reliability is through the measure of Cronbach's alpha, which is basically a massive correlation coefficient that like takes all of the responses that everybody has had and correlates the internal questions to each other to create this assessment of how well this measure measured the thing, whatever the thing is, whatever the variable is. So I hope that helps make reliability a little bit more clear for you. But you're usually gonna find these measures reported, because one of the things that researchers, like when they're through the peer review process, one of the things that the peer reviewers evaluate is how reliable and valid your measures are. So you're probably going to see information about the reliability of your measures in the measurement section. Sometimes there's its own subsection, and sometimes it's just kind of thrown in there. So keep your eyes peeled for that when you are reading.